Hi guys, I am super excited because today we're talking about one of my favorite things, which is dupes and alternatives to popular high-end or just more expensive products. So if you were considering purchasing any of these higher end products, allow me to save you some money and share some alternatives that are more affordable and in many cases I actually think are even better than the more expensive option. So on one side of my face, I have on the higher end options, and on the other side, I have the affordable options. Leave your guesses down below. Which side of my face do you think is the more expensive side? Specifically looking at my base, my blush, and my eyeshadow, those are really the main categories that we compared today. And then we're also going to talk about some brushes and even some skincare. So let's get into the dupes. One of my favorite high-end foundations for a while now has been the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation. This is such a beautiful foundation if you like light coverage, hydrating foundations. This is so good. And it's not the most expensive for high end. Like actually LYS is kind of on the lower end for Sephora, but I have recently not been able to put down a drugstore foundation that I think is really similar. It achieves a very similar look and a very similar amount of coverage for like a third of the price, and it's the CoverGirl Clean Invisible Foundation. So let's put these on side by side. We'll start with the LYS, and I'm gonna have this side of my face be the high-end side. So there's the LYS on that side, a beautiful light coverage foundation. And let's apply the CoverGirl Clean Invisible on the other side. I actually prefer to apply this one with my fingers. I may go over it with a sponge, but I just feel like this is one of those foundations that really looks best with fingers. And I'll just tap over that with my sponge. Okay, so I zoomed you all the way in so you could see both of those close up, and here they are side by side. So this is the high end, and this is the drugstore. I really do think they look identical, like very skin-like. Both of these are foundations that just look like skin, which is my personal favorite. And I still love the LYS one, don't get me wrong, but I just think if you can spend a fraction of the price, why wouldn't you, you know? Throughout this video, I'm also going to be comparing some brushes. So Alter Ego has recently come out with a set of brushes that look awfully similar to these brushes from BK Beauty. These are the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy brushes, which are some of my most used all-time favorite brushes. I don't have every single brush from this set, and I also don't have every single brush from the Alter Ego set. Sometimes I don't keep the entire set of something when I don't feel like I need every single piece, so I'll just donate the ones I don't use. But I do have a good number of both, and for comparison, both brush sets are 7 pieces. The BK Beauty retails for $130, and the Alter Ego retails for $24. So if the BK Beauty brushes are just out of your price range, I definitely think you can get a very similar experience with the Alter Ego ones for a tiny, tiny fraction of the price. So for concealer, you guys see me using this brush all the time. This is the BK Beauty A506, also lovingly known as the kitten paw brush. And so you can imagine my excitement when I saw that there was a dupe for that one in the Alter Ego set. Here they are. I mean, they look really, really similar. Looking up close, I do see some minor differences in quality. There are a few little stray bristles that kind of stick out. They don't come out, so they're not shedding, but they're just not completely even on the Alter Ego brush. And the BK Beauty brush is totally like smooth. There's no stragglers in there. But both of the bristles feel really soft. Neither one feels scratchy. And overall, I really don't notice a big difference in the way that they apply product. So I'm going to use these for my concealer today. I'm going in with the Urban Decay Stay Naked Concealer on both sides. I don't have dupes for this step. Both of these are dirty because I've been using them. So first, this side will do the higher end. This is the BK Beauty brush. I just love this brush shape for concealer. It does such a good job like really getting into the inner corner. It blends out concealer so quickly. And then on the dupe side, I'm going in with the Alter Ego brush. I mean, if you were to have me blindfolded, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between these two. Like, they feel the same. As far as longevity goes, I mean, I've had my BK Beauty brushes for probably over 2 years now. I've had these same brushes and they've held up really well. I don't know how long the Alter Ego ones would hold up. I've only had these for a couple of months. It's definitely possible that they might start to shed or the ferrule might come loose more quickly on the more affordable brushes, but I think those both did a beautiful job applying the concealer. I didn't get any streakiness. Then for bronzer and blush, I'm also going to compare these two brushes. So this is the BK Beauty A507, and from the Alter Ego set, we have the 102. This has also been one of my favorite brushes for cream cheek products. It's got a nice angle to it, nice and dense, and the Alter Ego one is so similar. Like, they have the same density, the bristles feel very much the same. I would say it does look like the Alter Ego one is slightly more rounded, whereas the BK Beauty is a little bit flatter. So I'm going to be contouring today with my Oma Beauty contour stick, and first we'll go in with the BK Beauty brush. So I like to just kind of paint this on the brush first, and then go in. It's just the perfect shape and size for cream bronzer and blush. And then on this side, we'll go in with the Alter Ego brush. Again, I feel like I could go either way with these two. Like, I've been using them interchangeably and they're both amazing. I wanted to share a drugstore alternative to a really popular high-end liquid blush that we all know and love, the Rare Beauty. I have the shade Hope in this, and I do think this is a beautiful blush. I love the shade, I love the formula, but I actually think that this drugstore alternative is better. It's the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush, and the reason I think that this is better than the high-end version is because with the Rare Beauty blush, and with most liquid blushes that have a doe foot applicator like this, I do prefer to apply them to the back of my hand first, because I find when I apply it straight to my face from the applicator, I just end up getting either patchiness or it'll lift up the foundation underneath. And I don't necessarily fault any liquid blush for doing that, because that's just kind of how most of them are. So here's the Rare Beauty, and I'll apply this also with that A507 brush. So I like to just kind of pick it up from my hand and then blend it out from there. And I do love this blush. Like, I think it looks so pretty. I love this color, one of my favorite types of colors to wear. And it does blend out really nicely when you do it that way. But the e.l.f. blush, which I have in the shade Peach Perfect, I am able to actually dot it straight onto my cheek and blend it out like that. So much quicker and easier to apply and less messy. I don't have to get makeup on my hand, you know, which is not a huge problem. I'm constantly using my hand as like a mixing palette for makeup anyway, but to just be able to have the ease of dotting it straight on my cheek and blending it is so nice, and especially for a $7 blush, like, I was blown away when I discovered this. So obviously these two shades are not exact dupes, but I'm gonna actually apply a little bit more of the e.l.f. Like, I just, look how easily it spreads. It just spreads right on. And I also don't know if that's the case for every shade of this e.l.f. blush. Like, it could be that because this is such a light color, maybe that's why it's so easy to work with, because I haven't tried any of the deeper or brighter shades in the line. Okay, so I went off camera to powder my face, fill in my brows with the NYX Thick It Stick It Brow Gel, and apply some Milani eyeshadow primer. Now for the thing I am most excited about in this video, an eyeshadow palette dupe. Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. I can't believe I've already had this palette for a year now, and I do really enjoy this palette, but as I've said before, I really don't think it's worth the price. And I specifically don't love the matte formula in here. I do find the matte shades in here kind of sticky, like they stick to one spot and they don't really blend that easily. Alter Ego has, of course, come out with a dupe, as they do for most Natasha Denona palettes. This is the Daylight palette, and I've been testing and comparing these two palettes for the past like 2 months now, and this is another case where I actually think the affordable version is better than the high-end version. I find the mattes in the Alter Ego Daylight palette so much more user-friendly. They did change up the layout, as they always do with the Alter Ego palette, and I almost always prefer the Alter Ego layout. I just find that it makes so much more sense. They kind of group similar colors together. So they have like the more peachy tones over here in the same column, and then they have the more brown and taupey shades all together. So here are some of the swatches, not the entire thing because I ran out of room, but on the top is Natasha Denona and on the bottom is Alter Ego. So a couple of minor differences. The two matte cream colors, the one in the Natasha Denona palette is a little bit darker and peachier than the Alter Ego. And then these two shimmers here, the Natasha Denona one is called Mia. That one is just a little bit more of a cool baby pink, and the Alter Ego one has just a little bit less pink to it, you can see in the base. But other than that, they're all like really, really similar. And I have to say the mattes in the Alter Ego palette are so much creamier. Like you can even see that in the swatches, like they just swatch so smoothly, whereas the Natasha Denona ones are like a little bit streaky. And then here are the last few shades. Again, top is Natasha Denona, bottom is Alter Ego. It was kind of hard to figure out which taupe shades corresponded with which because they're all so similar, but I think I got it right. So those are the swatch comparisons. So let's actually put these palettes to the test and compare them on each eye. So I think I'm going to do something kind of peachy and taupe. Peachy and taupe, like a smoky peach. So on the high-end side, I'm going to start with the shade Wit with the BK Beauty A503, which is a fluffy crease brush. It's not that this is blending horribly, but I tend to find these mattes in the Natasha Denona palette just a little bit patchy. Like they don't blend as easily as some other formulas that I've tried, but like, you kind of see what I mean there? It's sort of like stuck to my crease and didn't really want to blend. Like, it doesn't look horrible, but you kind of see what I mean there. So on the other eye, we're going to go in with the corresponding shade, which is Fresh. And I'm using the Alter Ego 205, which is very, very similar to that BK Beauty brush. I just had a much easier time blending that Alter Ego shade. Like, it was effortless. It just practically blended itself. Whereas I do feel like the Natasha Denona side is just not as blended looking. So going back to Natasha Denona, and I'm using the BK Beauty A504, which is like the really small crease brush from that line. I'm going to dip into Tender, which is that slightly deeper of the matte taupe shades in here. And this I'm going to build up in my outer corner. Alright, I'm going to go back to my fluffier brush, picking up a little bit more of Tender, and just going to blend that, kind of blend it into the peach shade. You see, like, I also feel like this shade is just not blending as effortlessly as I would like. So then on my Alter Ego 201, which is the small crease brush from that line, I'm going to pick up some of the shade Lucid, which is the corresponding shade in this palette. And doing the same thing over here. Also bringing this down to the lower lash line. I actually should have done that on the other side too. Do that now. I'm going to do the same thing over here and go back to my fluffier brush, pick up a little bit more of that, and blend it into my crease. Okay, I don't have like a smudgy liner brush from either of those brush sets, so I'm just going to take my usual, and I'll just use the same one on both sides and wipe it off in between, but I'm using the BK Beauty 204, and I'm going to go in with the dark brown. So this is Silhouette from I Need a Nude. This is one of the shades I felt like was the worst when it came to the kind of sticky, patchy issue. But, I mean, I don't really have that problem when I just use it as liner because, you know, it's in such a small area. I'm not, like, blending it a ton. But I'm just kind of putting this in the outer corner of my eye, right above the lash line. And then making sure to wipe off my brush. And I'm going in with that same shade, which is called Coffee in the Alter Ego palette. So for my shimmer, I'm going to start with the shade Filigree on this side. And I like to apply most shimmers with my finger. So this one I'm going to tap here in the center and like outer half of my lid. Nice like smoky taupe. And then I think the corresponding shade to that is Brisk, which is actually in the same spot in the Alter Ego palette. And doing the same thing on this side. Then for the inner half of my lid, I'm going to go in with Delilah. This is such a pretty, like, sparkly taupe. It has like a little bit of a purple undertone. So sparkly. And that's going on the inner half of my lid. And of course overlapping a little bit with that other taupe. So fun. And then I think Shine here is the shade that goes with that. This is one way I do think the two palettes differ. So I like the mattes better in the Alter Ego palette, and I like the shimmers in the Alter Ego palette as well, but I do think that the shimmers in I Need a Nude are just a little bit more sophisticated looking. Like, you can kind of see what I mean with the way that the sparkles catch the light on this side. Like, there's just something really high-end about that. And the Alter Ego ones are just like, I don't know, they're a little bit less scattered, a little bit less translucent, and I think that's where you get a little bit more of an expensive look from I Need a Nude. Okay, I'm going to go back to my matte peach on both sides just to make sure that shade didn't get lost. I'm just blending that right there above the crease. And back over here. I do love the pairing of the smoky taupe with the peach. That's really fun. For my inner corner, let's do Mia from I Need a Nude. And Divine from the Alter Ego palette. Those two shades, when you swatch them heavily, they look different, but honestly, side by side there on my inner corners, I think they look identical. Yeah, not noticing a huge difference there. So what do you think? Which one do you like better? They're both really pretty. I mean, they look the same. Like, you would never know that I use two different palettes, but if I'm getting really nitpicky, I like the shimmers better on the Natasha Denona side, and I like the mattes better on the Alter Ego side. I do think just the overall blend of this side is so good. Like, so good. The mattes in here are so impressive. That being said, though, I mean, the shimmers on this side are also stunning, so I would have to say for me the Alter Ego palette wins, because I need blendable mattes. Like, I want my mattes to be easy to work with, blendable. Even though I find the shimmers in a palette more exciting, you gotta have that foundation of the mattes being really solid, and the ones in here feel just so smooth and soft and blendable. So I say Alter Ego all the way. I think you can definitely save your money. Personally, I was a little bit disappointed in the I Need a Nude palette, and also considering how much overlap there is between all those taupes. Like, these two matte taupes are almost identical, and then those taupe shimmers like Filigree, Ella, Travertine, and Delilah, they are all so similar that I just think $70 is a lot for a palette with so much overlap, and considering how difficult the mattes are to work with. So to finish off the look with some setting spray, one of my favorite setting sprays has been the Urban Decay All Nighter, and I still think this is a fantastic setting spray. But if you want to save some money, Makeup Revolution makes so many good setting sprays, but I think the one that's most similar to All Nighter would have to be the Sport Fix setting spray from them. Both of these do a great job with just extending the wear of your makeup, keeping everything lasting longer. So excuse my ratty makeup rag, but Urban Decay All Nighter is going to go here on this side. I even find that these long wear setting sprays help my eyeshadow stay on longer. I've actually been comparing this to the Milk Hydro Grip setting spray, and I've actually found that this setting spray makes my eyeshadow crease and fade way faster than if I'm wearing no setting spray, but the Urban Decay All Nighter keeps my eyeshadow on like crazy. So that was a recent observation. And then on this side we'll do Sport Fix. I'm trying to do this with my left hand, so wish me luck. The other nice thing about the Sport Fix is that it doesn't have any added fragrance, whereas the Urban Decay All Nighter does have a little bit of a fragrance. On my lips, this isn't necessarily a dupe for anything in particular, but I wanted to share a drugstore product that feels so high-end to me. The e.l.f. O-Face Satin Lipstick. This is in the shade No Doubt. It is so creamy. It's matte but not drying. It actually has a really nice vanilla scent to it. And then for mascara, this, I don't have a high-end product to compare this to. I know this is supposed to dupe, I think, the Thrive Cosmetics tubing mascara, but this is the e.l.f. Lash Extender. I haven't tried that mascara, but I don't need to now because I love this one so much. And I have it in the shade Brown. I have two other mascaras open right now, but I have been completely neglecting those because I only want to use this one. It, most importantly, doesn't smudge or flake, and it looks amazing on my lashes. This brown shade, it's not going to be like a really obviously brown mascara, but I don't mind. I mean, it's really just like a softer color than your typical black mascara. I think it still looks brown. I also love this style of brush. It's like a spiky, nice, simple brush, but it really does a good job separating the lashes. It's very nice and lengthening. Like, look at that length. So nice. Yeah, cannot get enough of this mascara. I also have a much easier time with this brush not making a huge mess. These are supposed to be creaseless hair clips. Look at that. You kidding? That is a crease if I've ever seen one. Alright, I guess the clips are staying in. The final dupe I wanted to share is actually a skincare dupe. If you are a fan of the CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser, which I know so many people are, and you have a Walmart near you, next time try out the Equate Hydrating Cleanser. This is meant to be comparable to the CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser, and I did compare the ingredients. It looks like they have pretty much the exact same ingredients, but they're just in a little bit of a different order. They both have the exact same texture, and they both do a great job cleansing the skin without stripping it, and the Equate one is half the price of the CeraVe. So if you wanted to save some money, I mean, you can save a lot of money by going for the generic version, and you're getting like the same ingredients. So I would recommend trying out the Equate. This one's actually almost gone. I keep the Equate one in my shower, and I keep the CeraVe at my sink, and I just use them morning and night. Love them. They are fantastic if you have dry skin and you like non-foaming cleansers. I mean, they're both amazing, but you can really save a lot of money by going with the Equate version. So those are all of the dupes and alternatives to expensive products that I wanted to share today. Let me know if you've discovered any good dupes recently that I should check out. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you had fun, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I do also have a Patreon and a channel membership if you would like to go above and beyond in supporting my channel. And a huge shout out to all of my current patrons and channel members. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye!